The first step to firing your Mugnaini oven is to remove the oven door. Be sure to wear a mitt to protect your hand if you have used the oven the day before, as the metal conducts heat and the door could be hot. Now decide which side of the oven you will eventually cook on and which side the fire will be positioned on. Set the iron log grate into the oven on the side that will hold the fire and position it about an arm's length in and perpendicular or semi-perpendicular to the oven wall. Measure the starting deck temperature, as the higher the residual temperature from the day before, the faster your startup will be. The tools needed for firing oven are simply kindling wood, fire starters. We recommend the Weber Stevens fire starters, seasoned split hardwood logs, and a utility hook. Build the fire in the front part of the oven just inside the arch opening. Set 2 to 3 pieces of kindling onto the oven floor and then another row crisscrossed over these. Place 2 rows of hardwood logs, crisscrossed as well, on top of the kindling. Add 2 fire starters onto the oven floor at the base of the wood pile. Light the starters with a match. Place 1 piece of kindling across the front of the wood pile, and with your utility hook, immediately push the pile into the center of the oven. It is important to push the wood pile inward right away, or the heat from this first fire will just escape up the flue. Remember, the flue, which is connected to the chimney pipe, is just inside of your arch. Leave the fire in the center of the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. The objective here is to merely establish a bed of coals that will continuously ignite the hardwood going forward. Leave the door off of the oven. If it is windy, you may set the door onto the shelf to block the wind, but be careful to leave plenty of airflow so as not to restrict the oxygen needed to fuel the fire. Within 8 to 10 minutes, you should see a large mushrooming flame burning vertically and touching the top of the ceiling. If the fire is not burning vertically, but instead is being pulled forward towards the flue, push the fire back a few inches to prevent the heat from being lost up the flue. If the fire looks diminished and is not burning aggressively, add more kindling or small pieces of wood to get that to burn well. Resist the urge, however, to add large logs, as you do not yet have a bed of coals to ignite them. Do not use your infrared thermometer gun during the firing procedure, as the laser sighting will pick up the heat from the flame and falsely tell you that the oven components have absorbed that much heat. You need to wait the full hour or hour and a half to bring the oven up to its maximum temperature. So how do you identify that the oven is absorbing heat? After about 20 to 25 minutes, look to the area of the dome ceiling directly above the fire, and when you see a whitish circle about 8 to 10 inches, void of the black carbon, you have completed the center burn. Now you are ready to move the fire and focus on heating that side of the oven that you will eventually cook on. Using the ash scraper, push the coals to distribute them about 2/3 around the perimeter of the cooking side of the oven. If you compare the round cooking floor to the face of a clock, this position is roughly from 11 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Be careful not to shove the coals all the way up against the wall, or you prevent airflow and can suffocate the fire. Leave an inch or two between the coals and the wall. Now add another batch of firewood and possibly more kindling on top of the coals where they are positioned around the perimeter. It is fine to toss the lightweight kindling into position, but be careful not to throw the hardwood logs into the oven, but instead gently set them in using the Polino. Throwing the logs into the oven can risk cracking the sidewalls or the floor. Within a few minutes, this second batch of wood should ignite and you will see the dome filled with flame. Be diligent about watching and verifying that the wood is burning well. The characteristics of the center burn and this perimeter burn are large flames. At any time, if the fire is not burning well, then add more kindling or even another fire starter. During the perimeter burn, the area of the oven receiving the most amount of heat is the wall structure adjacent to the fire. While it is burning, this is a great broiler-type cooking environment to do some prep work like charring peppers or roasting eggplant or cherry tomatoes. Use this time for a lot of your pizza topping prep work. So within 20 to 30 minutes, you will see the carbon burn from this area as well. Once the wood has mostly burned to coals and you see the carbon has burned off of this section of the oven's wall structure, it is time to bank the fire, which means positioning it to where it will live throughout your cooking. Use the ash scraper to move all of the coals over to the opposite side of the oven around the log grate. Move as much of the coals as possible with your metal utensils and then switch to the brass brush to sweep the floor of the small embers and powdery ash. Now it's time to add a few more logs by gently setting them onto the log grate to bring the flame up and illuminate the bake chamber and complete heating the oven. Once the added logs are burning well, wait about 10 minutes for the oven floor to settle into its natural heat zones and then use your infrared thermometer gun. You will see that it is coolest at the arch entrance, hotter as you move front to back down the oven's center, and then cooler as you move to the opposite side away from the fire. We call these heat zones, and they are advantageous for you as you can move foods around in the different temperatures based on what you are cooking. Now, your Mugnaini oven is ready for you to enjoy baking pizzas and cooking a complete menu.